The following podcast is rated D for dumb. You're listening to Dumbing It Down with Dave, the fastest podcast on earth. Listen to Dave commute to and from work on the New York State Thruway in his 2008 Kia Rio LX. He talks about pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. Join Dave as he asks and tells you how life ought to be. And now, here's Dave.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dumbing It Down with Dave. My name is Dave Canyon, and I am ready to dumb it down. Are you? Yeah, good. That's great. You should be, because it's not a lot for you to do, really, to be ready for dumbing it down. You just have to sort of relax your brain and kind of take a deep breath or two, and we'll take some deep breaths later together. Maybe take 2 or 3 breaths, probably 3 if we do it at all. So there's nothing really that encompasses participating in Dumbing It Down with Dave. Just want to open your mind a little bit, not a lot of bit, whatever, enough a bit. How about that? I like using that word, enough a bit. Welcome to Dumbing It Down with Dave. I am Dave Canyon, your one and only solo podcast host of this show. Try to do 2 shows a week, one on the way into work, one on the way home. This is the On the Way Home show. On the Way Home show. It is Saturday morning, 10:52 a.m. It is March 23rd. It is my last night was my last night of the week. I had 4-night work week, and it's over. I trained a driver once or twice this week. That's exhausting to train somebody. I had a long conversation with my buddy Mark last night into this morning. And I just want to say right at the top of the show, before I go any further, I promised him I would do this, and I'm going to do this, so I'm doing it right now. I said in last week's show, what was it, number 106 or 107, I don't remember, said, the show about how to buy a sex shed. I made the comment, none of my friends listen to this show. I said that sentence. I admit to it. I said none of my friends. But that's not true, because Mark listens to the show. And he is one of my friends. He is one of my, right now, at this moment in time, one of my nearest and dearest, not a caveat, it's not a caveat. I am saying right now at this time, he is one of my nearest and dearest friends. And we talk a lot. And I apologize if I had hurt his feelings. That's it. Nothing else to say. No caveats. Is the caveat that there's no caveats? No, there's no caveats. I am sorry if I hurt his feelings. He does listen to the show, and he does comment on the show. And I know if he could do more, he would. I know that. But he does as much as he possibly can. And there's probably things he does that I don't know. And I appreciate that. I appreciate all of you. So thank you very much, Mark. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. I wanted to say that on the air in front of everybody so everybody knows that this was said, and this was done. You said what you said. I'm saying what I'm saying, and now it's done. All right? We'll try never to make that mistake again. The only thing, so now we're done, all right? No caveat, but I will say this. If I can't always talk about my non-friends, my non-acquaintances, I don't have any enemies. I just have people who used to be my friend, and people who used to be my acquaintances, or friends that were downgraded to acquaintances, and really they're kind of teetering on just being non-existent. Most people don't talk like this. Not just the Brooklyn accent talk, T-A-W-K, just, talk about people in this way. But yes, I am affected. There's no doubt about it. And I have these situations in my life. I don't hear a lot of podcasters or people in general talk about friends, former friends, really, former acquaintances, or, the mistreatment of friends and family towards them. I don't hear that a lot. It's not something that's spoken. I listen to a lot of podcasts, thousands of podcasts over the last couple of years, and very rarely, if ever, does anybody talk about the things I talk about. I believe that to be true, but I haven't heard every podcast, so I don't know. But I listen to, so many. I'm not going to go down the list and give everybody else publicity, but very rarely do I hear people talk about other people in this manner that I do. So let's see if I can remember what I was alluding to. There is no caveat for the apology to Mark, but I will say that... No, I did forget what I was going to say. Sorry, Mark. I was about to make a point, and I went down a rabbit trail, and I can't remember. What was the point of that? I apologize, for that I hurt his feelings. That's it. I did apologize. There was a caveat. I should stop the show and re-record it, but I don't want to now. That's 10:56 in the morning. I want to go home. It's a partly sunny, mostly cloudy day here in upstate New York. Was I going to say that Mark is under no obligation to do what he does? No, I wasn't going to say that. Was there something about the apology? No, I wasn't going to say that. Now it's becoming a horrible show where I sit here and I torture myself trying to remember what I was alluding to. See, it's amazing when you get sleep deprived and brain degraded at the age of 55 and a half that you could go down this road. Was I going to talk about this guy training? How hard my work week was? Well, you know what? I'm going to move on. It wasn't a caveat. I was trying to say something funny, and I totally forgot what it was. It's really a bad trait of mine, a bad characteristic. And chances are, as soon as I shut off the show, I'll listen to it and I go, oh, yeah, that's what I was talking about. I was going to make a joke about this or something. Maybe I was going to be serious about something. I don't know. But that is the beauty and the curse of Dumbing It Down with Dave, where I don't script, I don't have bullet points, and, this is the way it is. This is Dumbing It Down with Dave at its best and worst at the same time. Pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. There you go. All right. Got to move on because as painful as it is to hear me try to, and it's painful for me because now I feel bad that I shortchanged you on something that was in my head, like a dish on a plate on a table, some podcast entertainment. If I could make the metaphor, the imagery of food ready to be served, and then I walk out of the kitchen to your table. I'm like, oh, I don't even remember why I'm here now. Did you order something? Was I, am I supposed to bring it out? Then I go back to the kitchen. By the time I get back there, the food is cold, and I don't even remember. It just goes on and on. It just gets worse and worse. All right. But thank you. Sorry, Mark, and I appreciate you listening and doing all that you do for me as a friend and as a listener. He does comment, and I was saying that he does all he can do. But he's limited because, he's a truck driver like I am, so he's limited in time, and he's not on Facebook. He's not on Twitter. I don't even know if he's on Instagram. Probably not. He's not on any social media platform. So he does what he can, and I appreciate that. All right, let's move on. It's terrible, right? What a week of truck driving. It's not a truck driving show. For those of you who are hearing me talk right now, it's not a truck driving show. But I did have an interesting week. I had to train somebody. And what I do is, in my job, I do what they call doubles, where you have two trailers, one behind the other, two 45-foot trailers with what they call a bogie in the middle. That would be like the masculine term would be bogie or connector. But for some reason, we call it a dolly, D-O-L-L-Y. I don't know why, but we refer to this thing as a dolly. And with all these dum-dums that I work with, you would think, by the way, dum-dums usually is an endearing term. In this particular case, it can kind of go either way. But that's what I drive. A big refrigerated trailer, which is called a reefer, a bogie, a connector, a dolly, and then the tail trailer, which they also call the kite, and they call that the dummy trailer. So I'm sure there's more names than that. Not a truck driving show. And I had to train somebody this week. And there's a whole bunch of different aspects to the job. And it was interesting to me. We're going to talk a little bit about the mind this week. It's not planned. I don't have bullet points. It's not scripted. Was that what I was getting to before? Maybe that's what I was getting to before. The fact that it's not scripted, that it's not bullet points. So here it is. This is it. I found it. Yay. Big celebrations. Dave, stop talking. You're going to forget about it again. No, I won't. I promise. Yay, I found it. Okay. Every time I mention my friends, and I mention the lack of friends and all that stuff, I can't always mention except Mark. Because that just burns up a lot of time. Is that the reason why I didn't say it? In the last episode, yes, that's what I'm going to go with. I can't always say, none of my friends listen to the show. Well, except for Mark. Then that makes Mark sort of, not that I mind making him a celebrity, in whatever way you make a person, in just a repetition of his name. They're always, except for Mark. Now, Linda's a friend too. I've never met Linda though. But according to the Webster definition of friends, we're friends. And so is Lynn Brunette from Mile High Radio. MileHiRadio.com. MileHiRadio.com. That's where I'm syndicated. And I've had many textual. It's very, and our textual relationship is very, it's a consenting textual relationship. We're very textual. We talk plenty via text, via Messenger, Facebook Messenger, Lynn and I. So she's a friend, right? According to the Webster Dictionary, Merriam-Webster, we're friends. I've never met her. I don't know if I'm ever going to pick her up at the airport, or she's ever going to pick me over. We're going to help each other move, or we're going to break bread. That used to be my definition, really. If we break bread, we're friends. But according to Webster, it's just to have some sort of fondness. Just to have fondness. Some sort of affection. Some sort of agreement that you enjoy being with that person. That's it. That's all it takes to be a friend. I have other criteria. I break it down a little bit further. Like, hey, have we ever broken bread? Do you call me out of the blue? Do you return my calls? Do you return my texts? Do you support my podcast, my YouTube channel? Do you comment? Do you share? So there is a criteria. So that was the thing I was trying to remember. Every time I say, but none of my friends, I would have to say, but Mark, except Mark, and then Lynn, and then Linda Irwin from Awesome Insanity Surfers. Is Bobby Guarente a friend of mine? I don't even know. We have corresponded. We've corresponded on Facebook. I have a certain fondness for him. I assume he has some sort of agreement for me, some sort of to accept me. That's it. According to the dictionary, we're friends. I think that dictionary, that definition needs to be a little bit more, David. Got to fix it up a little bit. Can't be friends with everybody, or can you? I guess you can. But then the people say, "Oh, that's my close friend." Well, there is no definition of close friend. Friend is friend. According to the dictionary, there is no close friend. Former friend, yes, because that would make sense. This person I formerly accepted. I formerly had an agreement with. I formerly was fond of. Now, no longer. There's nothing to do with breaking bread or loaning money or trusting or, liking to spend time with or anything. It's just that simple definition. Fondness, some sort of agreement, some sort of care. I looked it up a couple weeks ago. I can't remember now. It has nothing to do with anything else. So, boy, every time you meet somebody, immediately they're your friend. That's the truth. I can't change that. So that's why I didn't mention Mark when I said that last week. And I still apologize. No caveat. But I will probably say that again because it's a constant in my life. That's a constant in my life, my lack of support from my friends. Obviously not from Linda. There's no problem there. Alex Exum, friend, right? We actually did break bread. We broke taco bread, which would be taco, right? Or Dorito, I don't know. What flatbread? I don't know what you call that. But Alex and I broke bread. Maybe Lynn and I will see each other at Podcast Movement 2019. I don't know if she's going. It's a long trip from Vancouver Island to Orlando, Florida. I will have my car, though. So, Lynn, I can pick you up at the airport. That would be pretty amazing. I could pick you up at the airport. Then we can go eat. That would really take our textual relationship to another level. So, there you go. That's why, Mark. You can believe it or not, but it's true. I just can't. And when I say make you celebrity, just the repetition of the name. I don't mind Mark being the show. Mark and I should do a podcast together. He's very smart. He's a brilliant guy. Brilliant. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't throw that around because if he's brilliant, what does that make me? Well, I'll always be a dummy. whatever. It doesn't matter. He's brilliant in his way. He's very he's a study of the Bible. He knows things that I don't know. A lot of things I don't know, and I enjoy that. There's definitely a yin and a yang. Sometimes it's two yings, and sometimes it's two yangs. Sometimes it's yang, whatever. But we definitely have a lot of similar views, and at the same time, very different views. And sometimes different views on the things that we have the same views on. It gets layered, which is great. I think that makes for a great friendship if you know how to deal with that. So Mark and I hopefully will do a podcast. That might be my Sunday evening podcast. If him and I could just coordinate it and make sure we get good sound. Got to get good sound. If we don't get good sound, he's down in Mobile, Alabama, and up in upstate New York. Got to have good sound, and then that's it. Sunday nights is really the only night him and I can do anything together. So there you go. Apology put out there. No caveat. Explanation of why I said all my friends or none of my friends and didn't say except Mark, because then I would have to say except Linda, except Lynn, except Alex, except Mark Lineberry and Lizette Lineberry from the podcast couple, except Robert, is it Waddle? Yeah, Robert Waddle or Waddell? That's Waddle because it's 2 Ds. I don't know now. But Robert from the Two Men in Florida, and I don't know her name, but the women from Cafecito Break is also here in Spreaker. I got to start plugging them a little bit. They have a great show. These two women. I don't know the one woman's name. She says it with this accent, and she's like raw something, and I don't know. But I like the show. And then I forget her friend's name. It doesn't matter. But I've heard like 5 or 6 episodes. You guys, everybody, if you don't know me, Cafecito ladies, I'm just bad with hearing certain things. It's hard for me to hear certain things on the podcast because I'm listening in a truck, and it's very loud. Every time I listen in the truck. All right, where are we? How many? Is the show over? Wow, 17 minutes. But I did do something. I didn't just babble on and on. I made my apology to Mark. And I proposed a podcast, which I've proposed 1,000 times to Mark, that we do a Sunday night live podcast. And Linda knows how I feel about her. And so does Lynn. And so does Alex. And so do the Lineberries. And so does Robert Waddle, or Waddell, from Two Men in Florida. Funny podcast. Brand new, funny podcast, Two Men in Florida. All right, so Lynn, so I guess it's out there. If you're going to fly into Podcast Movement, Orlando International Airport, I'll pick you up if I can. Let's work it out, I guess. Any other podcasters flying into Orlando? I could provide a little bit of a shuttle service. I won't charge anything, but if you feel obligated to tip, I won't turn it down. I'm sure. What's an airport ride from, Orlando International Airport to Podcast Movement? It's got to be what? I don't know, $30, $40, $20, whatever. Figure it out. I'm not going to put a dollar amount there. What am I don't want to say it. Anyway, there you go. Done. Let's take a breather break, all right? That's enough of that. I think I covered all the bases. And maybe this week I'll explain to you loop-de-loop. Because I know I didn't do that. I know that. I didn't explain loop-de-loop. I know. And then I also said we're going to call the show this name, and then I called it another name. Well, that's the way it goes. All right, let's test out our nostrils. Okay, pretty good. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, let's try it. Every week I'm surprised. I don't want to brag and say how great I'm doing, but I got to tell you, I really am impressed with my breathing. I don't know how this happened. I really don't know how it happened, but I am breathing way better than I was back in episode 67 or 66. I just listened to a couple episodes. I could barely breathe. Now I'm breathing very deeply, and I'm happy about that. We should all breathe deeply. I also referred to my breathing as heavy breathing last episode, with the Sex Shed show, whatever number that was, 106, 107. But I really didn't mean heavy breathing. I meant deep breathing. But okay, whatever. All right, heavy breathing is a whole other story. All right, here we go. 3 deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. 3 deep ones, each one deeper than the one before. By the time you get to the third one, it's super deep. And you hold the breath at the top. You kind of breathe in, hold it, and then let it go through the mouth. Ready? 3 deep breaths. And by the way, as we're doing these 3 deep breaths, I am doing a loop-de-loop at the Toll Plaza in Coxsackie. And if I remember, I will explain it. Or I will make it the running joke of this podcast that I always say I'm going to explain it. And then I never get around to explaining it for some various reason, whether I'm forgetful or we run out of time. All right. Breath number 1. Go. All right. Good enough for me. Good enough for you? All right. If it hurts or if you get dizzy, be careful. Don't operate any heavy machinery while you're breathing deeply. All right. Or heavily, for that matter. All right. Breath number 2. Here we go. All right. I had a little rib cage expansion on that one. I felt a little pain. Pain is good. I don't know why, but it's good. It means your rib cage is expanding. You're filling your lungs. All right. Last and final breath. Well, let's not hope it's the last and final breath. But in this particular exercise, it'll be deep breath number 3. Ready? And make it hurt. Bring it all the way to the top. Make it hurt and hold it as long as you can. Ready? Go. Wow. Okay. Good. That was good for me. Great for me. Congratulations, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed that breather break. That breather break was brought to you by Air. Anywhere you are in the world, if there's air and it's free and clean, you should breathe it. Your body will appreciate it, and so will you. Don't take air for granted. You might not have it for the rest of your life. At some point, you'll be out of air. So there you go. All right, breather break. That was great. I like taking a breather break. We can take a beverage break in a couple of minutes too, if we have any time left. All right. You want to do loop-de-loop? Well, I'll tell you loop-de-loop. It's a short, simple story. Maybe no, it's not going to be short. Dave Canyon does not have short, simple stories. Now, I'm going to tell you the full story. I'm going to tell you one time. All right? Almost 22 minutes into the show. I was going to talk about training this guy. I was going to talk about the mind. But the show took a turn. Took a turn for the better as far as I'm concerned. And next episode, I hope to have my kazoo. I hope to find it. And I'm going to play with you as I came out last week as a kazooer. Some people appreciated it. Some people did not. Some people want kazooers to stay in the kazoo box. They don't want, in the kazoo drawer, the kazoo closet. They don't want you to come out. And I can't deal with that ignorance. So I'm out. I'm a kazooer. I will be kazooing if I can find it. I might have hidden it so deep in the crevices of my life that I don't know. Because it's been a shame thing all this time. Yeah, you could be kazoo shamed. Absolutely. Dave, are you stalling because you don't want to get to loop-de-loop? You want to make it a funny joke that you never get to it? No, I'm authentically, taking a little diversion here in the show. It's my show. There's no producer, although I wouldn't mind one if somebody wants to produce. Then that's an open, you got to have some credentials. I don't want anybody to produce the show. But if you think you could help me produce, yeah, that'd be fun, especially the live show. The live show, I'd love to have a producer. There might even be, I really would like to take speech lessons. There might even be some compensation. There might be. I mean, if you think it's worthy, you're worthy of it. If you really do a great job, there might be some compensation. We could talk about that. Yeah, so there you go. All right, loop-de-loop. And if you're really serious about a ride in from the airport, it got warm in here real quick. The sun, if you listen to 106, 107, 108 episodes of Dumbing It Down with Dave, it is kind of fascinating all the weather we get in the Northeast. Yet, such a large majority of the shows that I've done, and I haven't kept track. And maybe one day I'll have an intern. By the way, I feel bad for that first intern, because that first intern is going to have to do everything and anything I ever thought in my head. Everything and anything. And one of the things that would be interesting to track is the weather when I do these podcasts, because it always seems like I'm saying the sun is so bright, it's beating down so hard from the east, and it's hot as hell in this car. It just got ridiculously hot. It went from 5 minutes ago, no temperature control, no mention at all, not hot nor cold. Then all of a sudden, I do this loop-de-loop, and I'm on the New York State Thruway southbound, and which I was southbound, but now, I'm still southbound, and the car just got so hot. Did I mention it was Alex Exum at the beginning of the show? That's the guy that does the intro. He can do an intro for you if you want to. AlexExum.com. Alex Exum. Yeah, he has an X in first and last name. There's a word for it. I don't know what that word is. Dos Equis? I think it's called Dos Equis. When you have an X in the beginning, the first name and the X in the last name, it's called Dos Equis. I know some people think it's a beer, but it didn't start off that way. Anyway, you can believe me or not. I have no way of validating the story. I just know it to be true. All right, so Loop-de-Loop. How did that come about? Well, let me tell you something. 25 minutes and 26 seconds. Plenty of time. I am not going to try to not tell you the story. I will now tell you the story. It's an interesting story. It's a story that starts probably about 25, 30 years ago with me and living in upstate New York. And here now is the story. Did I cover all the bases? Yeah, don't forget you can tweet me. You can tweet me at dumbwithdave. Tweet me at dumbwithdave. You can email me at dumbingitdownwithdave@yahoo.com. Dumbingitdownwithdave@yahoo.com. Did I mention I have a YouTube channel? Yep, Dave's Fit Life. You can check me out at Dave's Fit Life. Got some new episodes coming up, new edited episodes. I never used to be able to edit, but my son is working with me for the time being. I don't know how much longer it's going to last. That's entirely really up to him. And it's entirely up to me because I'm the one that controls the purse strings. And if he frustrates me enough, he'll be on the street. Not really, but he won't be employed by me. But him and I have an agreement, and so far he's done a couple of episodes, and they look good. I'm happy. I'm happy with his editing abilities. I don't have time to edit. I fancy myself a great editor, a great production person, but in reality, I'm nowhere near anything at all because it's just too technical, and I don't have the time nor the knowledge. So there goes that. All right, what was I talking about? Was I talking about Loop-de-Loop? Was I talking about training anybody? Oh, yeah, I was doing all the details. Yeah, so you can tweet me. You can email me, dumbingitdownwithdave@yahoo.com. I don't have a website up yet. You know, we're working on it. Maybe this will be the weekend we talk about it. I have somebody in mind that might put one together for me. Got to make a phone call. I did not buy a shed after last week's, the previous episode. I did not buy a shed. Sorry, not yet. Not ready for it yet, but maybe soon enough. I did go shed shopping. I found some excellent deals. So, Loop-de-Loop. That's a good story. That's a long one. That really starts about almost 30 years ago when I moved to upstate New York from Brooklyn, New York. Here's the story. And I'm glad that I'm able to tell it to you because people have been asking me this for a long time. You see it in the Dave's Fit Life videos. You'll see me going down the road, and all of a sudden I turn around in a toll plaza. And people ask me all the time about Loop-de-Loop, and I think it's a worthwhile story to share. So, 25, 30 years ago, when my wife and I moved up here, every time we would go into a store, and I still sort of do it, I do it way less because I kind of made a promise that I would try to control myself. But every time I walk out of a store, I usually grab one of each. You know what I'm talking about? I usually grab one of each, with the flyers, the promotional materials, any sort of, continuing education booklets, house rentals and all that stuff. I usually grab one of each, especially when we first moved up here, because I didn't know what was going on. I had no idea what was going on. I don't know. I might not have time to finish the story. 28 minutes and 47 seconds. Well, unfortunately, we only have time for a drink break, a little beverage break, because the other episode went long, and I forgot how many minutes. It went like 30 minutes and like 30 seconds. That's way too much apple cider vinegar. I got to calm down on the apple cider vinegar. Ugh. I'm so apple cider vinegared out. I really am. All right, well, anyway, listen, here's the story. I'm going to have to tell you the story of Loop-de-Loop at another time. But we've made some progress in the story. You know that I moved upstate, and every time I walk out of a store, I would grab all the flyers. That's all I can tell you for now, all right? But until next episode, whatever number that'll be, it doesn't really matter what the numbers are, 106, 107, 108. Until then, thanks for listening, folks. I really do appreciate it. Mark, I hope you accept my apology. Linda, Lynn, Bobby, Alex, everybody who listens, thank you very much. Goodbye, good day, good night, good luck, good riddance, Godspeed, good rats, and great skills. That's 8. Take care.